Hello, good afternoon. My name is Veronica Jacqueline Renteria Navarro, and my partner is.
Hi, I'm Jose Maria Zavala Cervantes. Good afternoon.
And we're going to explain the app for challenge number 8. So we go back to the cover screen. And we can see the title and image and both of our names. So now in the top part of the screen, we can see the actual date, then the actual time with the hours, minutes, and seconds. These timers are independent of the one below. So if we hit on the button in the middle, we start the chronometer and we see that the button changes to a stop image. So that's for make it stop. Then we have the bar below that it counts the hours, minutes, and seconds since we press the button. So it's like a chronometer. Then we can see the animation, and the bar below is for the velocity of the animation, so we can go faster or slower. In this case, how the pages, how fast can you change them? This is, and so we can see how the student can study for a determined time without pauses, and the change of the pages in this case is to like pressure like the study, so it can make it easier. And now we see that we have a full minute, so we see that it doesn't happen an error. So it's not supposed to be like a minute and 63 seconds. It just, the minutes starts again from 0, so it doesn't just continue. And then we hit on stop. And in the bar, we can now see all the time that we have since we press the button, like all. And then we have a positive message that in this case is great job. And that's it for the app.
Thank you very much. We will continue with the explanation of the programming. We forgot to mention that whenever the counter is stopped and we click the play button, the counter will start again from 0. This is so the student can help himself or herself to study for a certain period of time without distractions or without pauses. So whenever you have a distractor or you want to make a pause, then you hit on the stop button and you will count the time as if it hadn't happened. This is to increase um, the usefulness of the time and the time the student has a complete attention on a certain task. And that was it for the app functioning. So now let's move on with the programming section. Jackie, can you confirm that we are watching the screen?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So we use for this application, we use 2 screens. The first screen is used as a cover screen or a little cover. This presents a label, including the title, an image, including some icon of a chronometer, and 2 labels for our names, which are our full names. And then this was the elements we used for the programming. So for the programming section is pretty narrow for the screen 1. So when the screen 1 initializes the clock, the sensor, as I mentioned it, will start to count time intervals, which are of 3000 milliseconds, which is the same as 3 seconds. Then when the clock stops counting that 3 seconds, the action will be open another screen named screen 2. So now let's move on with the screen 2. Let's start with the interface. So as you can see, we use different arrangements. They are for the following actions. So the first one includes all the information about the date, and the second one includes all the information about the time. We included text boxes for the elements of the date, which are day, month, and year. And for the time, we use labels. It's the same. We just wanted to experiment. Then we used an arrangement called space. This is to create space between the button and the time. This will change the image according if it's clicked or it's clicked again. And this is the arrangement to create only one label for the entire counter. This is the label. Then we move on with the image, including the animation, and below here you can see it, but there is the slider with an arrangement. And that is, I think that's it for the interface. So now let's move on with the programming. This is where it gets a little interesting. So first, we used a total of 2 clocks. First one is called clock animation 1 and clock time info. We actually didn't use this one, so let me just erase it. Then for the animation clock, it was used to control the timer of the chronometer and also to control the animation and the slider. So this if block establishes that whenever the value of the image of the animation equals 8 images, then the actual image of the animation will be changing consequently from one to another. That is basically how an animation is composed. As you can see, these are all the 8 pictures we used to create the animation of the SpongeBob swiping the pages. And then we told the app that the duration of this animation will be from whenever the user clicks the button to the actual time. So it counts from second to second and from minute and hours and so on. Then we changed the label text to this information, the hours, the minutes, and the seconds. So this is one of the most important parts. As you watch on the example of the app functioning, we didn't commit the error to let the counter count 63 seconds, for example. So we used a quotient dividing the total seconds between 60. This is so whenever a full minute goes by, the counter will reset the value of the counter to 0, so it doesn't get a little messy. This is basically the programming for the controlling of the animation speed. It will only change the time interval according to the position we apply the slider with our thumb sorry. Then this is the programming for the date and the time. It's pretty narrow and pretty simple. We only set the labels to different values. The first one is for the hour, the second one is for the minutes, and the third one is for the seconds. And then we swipe up to day of the month name, and the year. And obviously the instant will be now because it's the time of the actual system of the phone. Then this is the most extensive part. We used a total of 5 variables for the entire application. These four are shared between these two rows, and they are to control the start, the stop, and the duration of the clock and the state of the actual button. So we used only one button instead of two to represent the animation because it was a requirement for the challenge. We used a large if button, including the condition when the button was clicked. And the if is because if the value of the button is a true statement, which means the button is clicked, then the counter will be started from the animation. And the else apartment includes the information for whenever the play button is stopped. We'll change the image as you saw in the example, and then the labels will be changed, including the text values. So the text boxes, well, the labels in this case, will indicate the student or the user, the number of hours, minutes, and seconds the student applied for a mindfulness study. And it will change the animation. Instead of an animation, it will show an image, including a great work message. And basically that's a basic explanation of how this entire set of blocks work. And that was it for the programming of the application. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you applied for your next challenges. Thank you.
Thank you.